construction, and not just any school construction, but projects that are not currently started. So they're trying to incentivize things that might be an identified need, but are kind of sitting in the wings. And then also it has a built-in sunset, so it will go away in 20 years, per the rule book that the state has put into place. So it's pretty narrowly defined in terms of how you can use this. It would not go into the general fund as a just general purpose revenue.
See, and I'm always leery of that, the sunset clauses, because you never know if a General Assembly will extend it or someone else will extend that as well. And that's why I want to ask these questions so we understand exactly what we're talking about. Deputy County Administrator of Finance and Administration, Matt Harris, joining us here on News Radio WRVA. So I just want to make this distinction. We're approving projects that haven't gotten off the ground yet. They're standing there looking for funding. What happens once let me back up for a second. Do you have the projects? How much do they cost? And if you raise more money in these sales taxes than what these projects are, what happens to the surplus? Or if they come up short, what happens to the funding?
Yeah, no, also good questions. I think we have, through our normal annual process, we've identified and put out there for the public 6 specific projects that would be considered as part of this revenue source. But I think and you've seen it, this week. I know you're a news guy. You guys are in this stuff every day. The maintenance issues just in the Metro Richmond area on schools this week. I think that's probably the equal focus for us, is making sure we have an ongoing source to deal with and keep up with the condition of all the buildings, not just the 6 projects. So I think that's the bigger recurring need. You see that coming up time and time again. And so I think the county's interest is probably even a little bit more so on that end, to make sure that we've got that funding source, so that there's always going to be those maintenance needs. So there's not really a possibility for surplus. We would just continue to chip away at that
existing
list.
Your list of things out there that, of course, if it's something like Richmond's dealing with black mold, boom, we got to do that right away. But there's some other preventive maintenance stuff that you can do along the way to keep the schools in the school district up to par. Okay, I got that part. Let's talk dollars. Okay, go ahead.
And just real quick on that, I think it's important. We have a very defined, complete list of all of those projects. It's out there on the county website.
Oh, good.
So folks can see.
Okay, let's get to dollars and cents, because that's the big thing. Again, I never want to raise taxes. I can't figure out how we pay all these taxes. And I know when I sit down with county administrators, they explain this to me, why we need it, what we do. So help me out with all of this. We're going to ask people to raise sales taxes by 1% in Chesterfield County. Probably 75% of that money that's going to be raised from people that live outside of Chesterfield. And we want to talk about relieving, and I've got a lot of text messages talking about relieving real estate taxes and other taxes here in Chesterfield. Give me the net. If I raise the taxes by 1% of the sales tax, what's the average homeowner who, let's say, has a 2 cars and lives in Chesterfield? I have a friend of mine just moved there. Beautiful house. They got 2 cars. What's going to be the net for them? The relief they'll get from property taxes and car taxes versus what they're going to pay in increased sales taxes.
Yeah, no. What the board is trying to do here is, take advantage of the opportunity and, use it as an opportunity to provide some relief to Chesterfield residents. So if approved, they would come back at their next meeting and lower the real property rate by 2 cents to 87 cents, and then the car tax in the county by an additional 10 cents. So that's certainly not a full offset, but it does help to limit some of that impact from a potential sales tax increase. I think from a bottom line figure, you're looking at a net of probably $50 million. But as you point out, and you're a sports guy, you understand the impact of the county's tourism efforts and whatnot.
And I love that. Let's bring more people to come visit you. I need to spend more time at Chesterfield. Exactly. I personally need to spend more time at Chesterfield
Hey, come on out. We'll show you around. We'd love to do it.
Instead of being my bougie West End. By the way, I would live in Chesterfield, but the radio station's closer to the West End. That's why we came over here. But I love Chesterfield County. But I guess what I'm looking for, and a lot of our listeners are like, hey, listen, my property taxes are killing me. I hate the car tax. Net, will I see relief, or will I still see just exchanging one hand to the other as far as my tax burdens go?
I mean, I think it's good. It's sales tax is something that's discretionary, so they have the option to, shop other ways. But it doesn't apply. One thing I should have mentioned: it doesn't apply to groceries and those kinds of items.
Right? Yeah. No, no, absolutely. Because again, we're going to talk about the price of beef coming up in the next segment as well. So I know exactly what people are talking about. Now, if this gets approved,
I think not to I don't want to skip over your questions. I think the answer is going to vary greatly depending on your personal situation. I've talked to a bunch of people in the last couple of weeks, and you kind of go through and you do the math, and the individual numbers are going to vary greatly depending on your house, the number of cars, all those types of things.
But I guess the net is we'll pay just a little bit more. It's not going to be a complete offset, but we're going to use that money for the schools.
That's right.
To make sure that we can continue to build and have more people move into the county. And
I think, these are all important identified projects. And, the question kind of boils down to, do we want to pay the full 100% as, Chesterfield residents, Chesterfield taxpayers, or do we want to bring in, these visitors to help out with that?
Yeah, no, and again, I tell people all the time, I mean, you look between the different sources of tax revenue. Since I started doing this job, I've kind of figured out how business taxes, car taxes, meal taxes, all these taxes we have around Central Virginia get divvied up in the General Assembly and all the rest of this. So again, we got to figure out how to fund the schools, and then we got to figure out, what the net effect of everybody else is. But the one thing I've gotten a couple of people asking me this morning, the offset, to help offset the partial of the 1%, the county is going to vote on that later. It's not part of the referendum, correct?
Yes. Yeah. The question itself is pretty restricted, but the board would come back in December and take up the tax relief measures if approved.
If approved, and they take up those offsets for the property tax and the car tax, will those have a sunset of 20 years, or will those be kind of out there and we'll see what happens in the future?
No, sir. Those would be in place to stay.
Okay, so
not tied to the sunset on the sales tax.
Okay, see, that's a big question for me. So we know that this has a sunset of 20 years for this 1%, and then it should go back down to 6%. And then we're saying that the offset of the car and the property taxes will match the sunset from the sales tax increase?
No. So the local initiatives, the real estate and personal property, it would be indefinite. Those would stay in place. The sunset is tied just to the 1% increase. And you're right. The total today is 6, but the local portion of that is only 1. So it would go from 1 to 2. Right?
1 to 2. Right. Okay. I've asked a bunch of questions. Give me your thoughts. I'm going to shut up for a minute here. Just tell the voters why this is important and why this is needed.
Well, I think these are, the investment in schools there's nothing more important. It's right there with public safety in terms of core local government mission. This is a way to speed up some identified capital priorities, make sure we're maintaining our buildings, and offer some tax relief to the community.
It'll be on the ballot coming up. And again, there's a lot of different municipalities, I think 20 total in Virginia, that have this on the November 3rd ballot. We're going to keep talking about this. Will you come back on again, Matt, as we get closer? Because I think there's a lot of people that are just discovering Chesterfield One for Schools for the very first time. So I'd love to have you come back on and talk about this and maybe answer some questions. And we'll get some text messages from folks and pass them along to you as well. So everybody knows exactly what they're being asked to do.
We greatly appreciate the time, the exposure to the topic, and we're happy to come back anytime. Yeah, if you got questions, please send them along.
I should just come down and do the show down in Chesterfield. I mean, we'll find a great place, right? Right? Come on.
We will set you up. We'd love to do a on-site broadcast. We'll come on and talk about all sorts of stuff. That'd be fantastic.
All right, you know what? Let's. You know what? I'm just going to commit to that. Super Dave, our producer's going to get mad at me. I should just do a Chesterfield day. I need to do a Goochland Day. You know what? Brilliant idea. Brilliant idea, man. All right, we're doing it.
All right. Well, we will be in touch on that. Rich, it's nice to talk to you. Again, appreciate the conversation. We have a full website out there. Folks can go out and read about all the projects and any other questions they might have.
What's the website?
You can look up One for Schools. You can go to chesterfield.gov, and there's all sorts of links on there that will take you right to it.
Perfect. All right. Now I'm going to get in trouble with everybody on the West End because I called him bougie because I told you how much I love Chesterfield, but I'll have to deal with that myself. All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you soon, Rich.
All right. Take care. Matt Harris, Deputy County Administrator of Finance and Administration, Chesterfield County. Give me your thoughts. You heard what he had to say. What do you think about these? I'm not happy that the state did it, but Chesterfield County needs it. Richmond needs it. What do you think? 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. All right. Today's program brought to you in part by my friend Michael Greer. We just talked